When a police dog outsmarts criminals, you won't believe what happens. The police station buzzed with energy, phones ringing, officers exchanging quick words, boots echoing against the tiled floors. Amid the controlled chaos, Rex stood, still. He was no ordinary dog. His ears twitched at every sound, his sharp amber eyes scanning the room. Every movement, every scent. He absorbed it all. Officers walked past him, some offering quick pats on his sleek coat, others merely acknowledging his presence with a nod. To them, Rex wasn't just a canine officer, he was family. A guardian among officers. The night shift was in full swing, yet Rex remained a silent sentinel, poised and ready. He sat beside Officer Jake Carter, his handler and partner, who was flipping through case files at his desk. The two had been inseparable for years, their bond forged in the fires of countless missions. "Busy night, huh, Rex?" Jake muttered, ruffling the fur behind the dog's ears. Rex responded with a slight tilt of his head, his gaze steady. He didn't need words to communicate. He simply understood. A rescued pup, a new purpose. Once, Rex had been a stray, a pup, left alone on the streets cold and starving. But fate had other plans. The police had found him during a raid, a trembling bundle of fur hiding behind a dumpster. Jake had been the one to extend a hand, offering warmth and safety. Most dogs wouldn't make it as canine officers, but Rex was different. Determined, focused, intelligent, he had trained harder than any recruit, rising to become one of the best. And Jake, he had become more than a handler. He was Rex's family, an unbreakable bond. Across the room, an officer whistled. "Hey, Carter, your partner ever take a break?" Jake smirked, glancing at Rex. "Only when the job's done." Rex let out a quiet huff as if agreeing. He didn't relax, not really. Even now his ears flicked toward a distant conversation, his nose twitching at the scent of fresh coffee, gun oil, and the lingering traces of a suspect brought in earlier. That was Rex's gift, a mind sharper than instinct. He didn't just react. He analyzed, anticipated, understood. Jake leaned in. "What is it, boy?" Rex let out a soft whine, his eyes narrowing. Something in the air wasn't right. A call in the dead of night. Before Jake could consider it, further the radio crackled. "Unit 47, suspicious vehicle spotted near the warehouse district. Proceed with caution." Jake grabbed his gear, clipping his badge onto his belt. "Looks like we got work to do." Rex was already standing, muscles tense, ready. Outside, the night was cool, the city lights casting a dull glow over the streets. As Jake started the car, Rex sat alert in the passenger seat, eyes locked on the road ahead. It should have been a routine call, but Rex's instincts said otherwise. A silent messenger of danger. As they neared the warehouse district, Rex stiffened. His ears pricked forward, his nose flaring. Jake noticed immediately. "What is it?" Rex growled, a low warning sound. Something was there, something hidden. A predator in the shadows. Inside the warehouse, hidden figures watched. A group of men, faces shadowed in the dim light, stood around crates stacked high. Contraband, stolen goods. At the center, a man with cold, calculating eyes leaned forward, his voice barely a whisper. "That dog, it knows." His name was Dante, and he wasn't just another criminal. He was a mastermind. Rex, outside, inhaled deeply. The scent of deception, sweat, adrenaline, gunpowder, filled his senses. Jake adjusted his grip on his flashlight. "All right, Rex, let's take a look." A silent order. Inside the warehouse, Dante's gaze darkened. He turned to his men, voice low but commanding. "That dog is a problem." A long pause. "Get rid of it." The warehouse loomed ahead, silent yet heavy with an unspoken menace. The air was thick, damp concrete, rusted metal, and something else. Fear. Rex's nose twitched. The scent was fresh, layered with sweat, gunpowder, and adrenaline. His muscles tensed, ears snapping forward, his tail rigid. He let out a low, warning growl. Jake, flashlight raised, glanced down at his partner. "Easy, boy," he whispered. But Rex didn't move, didn't blink. Jake exhaled, scanning the empty lot surrounding the warehouse. It looked abandoned, but Rex had never been wrong before. "Stay close," Jake murmured, stepping forward. Inside, unseen figures moved like shadows, watching, waiting. A trap had been set. The streetlights flickered. A brief stutter, then blackness. Jake froze. "What the—" Then, bang! A gunshot ripped through the silence, the sharp crack echoing off metal walls. Jake barely had time to react before pain seared through his shoulder. He staggered back, his breath hitching. His fingers went to the wound, warm, sticky blood soaked through his uniform. He hit the pavement. And then Rex was there. The dog threw himself over Jake, shielding him with his body. Deep rumbling snarl cut through the darkness. A warning, a promise. The criminals laughed. "It's just a dog." But Rex wasn't just a dog. The gang spread out, moving like predators, closing in on their wounded prey. Jake coughed, trying to push himself up, but his vision swam. "Rex, go," he whispered, though it hurt to say it. But Rex would not. "Leave him." Another shot rang out, this one too close. Rex made his choice. His instincts screamed, protect Jake, eliminate the threat. And so, he disappeared. The criminals hesitated. A moment ago, the dog had been right there. Now, gone. A man swallowed hard. Where'd it go? Silence. Then, a growl, deep, close. Someone cursed and fired blindly into the shadows. The shot struck. Nothing but steel. A blur of movement. A scream. One of them stumbled back, crashing into a stack of crates that tumbled down, burying him beneath them. Another man turned. Too late. A snarl. A flash of teeth. Rex was hunting them now. Inside the warehouse, Dante watched. His men, his crew, falling apart. A silent beast dismantling them one by one. It wasn't Carter. It wasn't the police. It was the dog. Dante exhaled, lowering. His weapon. "All right," he muttered. "Let's try something else." He stepped forward, hands raised, voice smooth as silk. "Easy there, boy." Rex emerged from the shadows, silent, unblinking, unmoved. Dante smiled. "You don't want to hurt me, I know that. You're smart, aren't you?" Rex didn't move. Dante took another step. "That's right, you're just doing your job, but let's be honest, what's one man to you?" He gestured at Jake, bleeding on the ground. "He's hurt. You could walk away." Rex let out a slow, deliberate growl. Dante's smile flickered. "All right, maybe not." A step back, then another, and suddenly he ran. Rex lunged. The chase had begun. The tires screeched against the pavement as Dante slammed his foot on the gas. The van lurched forward, fishtailing as it roared down the abandoned street. He gritted his teeth, heart hammering. He just needed to get clear, disappear before backup arrived. Behind him, Rex ran like fury itself. Muscles bunched, paws pounded. Against the cracked asphalt, his breath coming in short, forceful bursts. His world had narrowed to one thing, Dante. The van was fast, but Rex was faster. Dante's hands clenched the wheel. "It's just a dog," he muttered. But as he glanced in the side mirror, his stomach twisted. Rex wasn't slowing. A garbage bin toppled in the van's wake. A broken crate splintered on the ground. Obstacles, distractions, nothing mattered. Rex dodged, leapt, surged forward. The wind whipped against his fur, but his focus never wavered. Then, his moment. The van skidded around a sharp turn, tires screeching. Rex leaped. His claws scraped metal, but his grip held firm. Dante's breath caught. "No, no, no, no!" He swerved hard, the van jerking from side to side. Rex refused to let go. He was the storm that would not break. The rear window shattered as Rex's claws raked against it. Dante panicked. His breaths came fast, hands trembling as he fought the wheel. He could feel the sweat dripping down his temple. He had run from cops before, outwitted officers, bribed his way out of tight spots. But this wasn't a cop. This was something else. something relentless. He yanked the wheel, trying to shake the beast. Still, Rex held on, and then Dante looked away, just for a second. It was a second too long. A barricade loomed ahead. Dante saw it too late. Metal crunched, glass shattered. The van slammed into the blockade, its frame twisting from the force of impact. The world spun, a violent cacophony of sound, tires screeching, steel groaning, Dante cursing. Then, silence. Dust settled in the still air. Rex staggered to his feet. His limbs ached, but he ignored the pain. His golden eyes locked. On the crumpled van, it wasn't over, not yet. Jake pushed forward, every step agony. His shoulder burned, blood darkening his uniform, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. His partner was out there. Rex needed him. Through the haze of dust and debris, he saw movement. Dante, the gang leader, stumbled from the wreckage, coughing, eyes wild. His hands fumbled for his gun. He wasn't giving up. Before Dante could lift the weapon, Rex struck. A blur of fur and power, he lunged. His body slammed into Dante's chest, knocking the wind from his lungs. The gun clattered to the ground. Dante hit the pavement hard. A low, menacing growl rumbled from deep within Rex's chest. His piercing gaze locked onto Dante, daring him to move. Dante didn't dare. Footsteps, staggered, uneven. Jake. He reached them, breathing ragged, his face pale with exhaustion. His fingers trembled as he pulled the cuffs from his belt. Click. The steel snapped shut around Dante's wrists. Jake exhaled, barely able to stay upright. It's over. Red and blue lights flooded the street. Sirens screamed, officers poured in, rounding up the criminals, securing the scene. It was over. Jake barely registered the chaos. His gaze found Rex. The dog stood tall, unshaken, unstoppable. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Jake knelt beside him. He placed a hand on Rex's fur, a silent exchange. No words were needed. They had won. Together. The flashing red and blue lights painted the night, casting long, restless shadows across the pavement. The air was thick with the scent of sweat, gunpowder, and gasoline, remnants of the battle that had just ended. A line of handcuffed criminals stood under the harsh glow of the streetlights, their faces grim, their fight long gone. Officers moved with quiet efficiency, loading them into squad cars, securing the stolen goods, sealing off the crime scene. Justice had been served. Jake watched from a distance, his breath uneven, his body still aching from the fight. Exhaustion weighed on him, but so did something else, relief. Beside him, Rex stood tall, ever watchful. His ears twitched at every movement, his golden eyes scanning the scene, ensuring the danger was truly over. They had won. Together. The whispers started almost immediately. That dog saved his life. Did you see the way he took down Dante? Swear he's smarter than half the force. Jake heard them, but Rex didn't care for the admiration. The hushed voices of officers and bystanders meant nothing to him. His focus remained on Jake, his partner, his reason. A fellow officer approached, clapping Jake on the shoulder. Hell of a night, he nodded at Rex. And one hell of a partner. Jake exhaled, managing a tired smile. Yeah, he murmured, glancing down at the dog. The best. The department planned a ceremony, a medal, recognition, something official to honor Rex's bravery. But as plans unfolded, Rex remained unmoved. His eyes never left Jake. He didn't fight for medals. He fought for him. The applause was deafening. A crowd had gathered at the station, officers, families, reporters. Flashes from cameras lit up the evening as the police chief stepped forward, holding a polished medal. Tonight, the chief announced, his voice strong, "We honor not just an officer, but a hero." He turned to Rex, his gaze filled with respect. A dog who outsmarted criminals, protected his partner, and reminded us all what loyalty truly means. The medal was pinned to Rex's harness, and the crowd erupted in cheers. But Rex barely noticed. His eyes were on Jake. The officer crouched beside him, resting a hand against his fur. The noise, the celebration, none of it mattered. Just this. Just them. Jake smiled, his voice thick with emotion. "You did good, buddy." Rex nuzzled his arm, his tail giving a slow, contented wag. This was his real reward, not the medal. Jake's embrace. The streets were quieter now. The city lights glowed softly in the distance as Jake and Rex walked, side by side, through the empty lot behind the station. Jake's steps were slow, the weight of the night still clinging to him. He had almost lost everything. He stopped, exhaling, then knelt beside Rex. His fingers ran through the dog's fur, feeling the steady rise and fall of his breath. Words failed him, but Rex understood. Without hesitation, the dog leaned in, pressing his head against Jake's chest, a silent promise. "I will always be here." Jake swallowed hard, his throat tight. He rested his forehead against Rex's, closing his eyes. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Rex's tail thumped softly against the pavement. Jake let out a shaky breath, then smiled, stronger than ever. That's what they were, more than partners, more than a team. They were family. The morning light spilled over the city, casting long golden rays across the station's parking lot. Inside, officers moved about their routine, filing reports, grabbing coffee, gearing up for the day's patrol. Life went on. And in the midst of it all, Rex stood, ready. His tail wagged, his ears perked, his sharp eyes scanning the streets beyond the station doors. There would always be another case, another chase, another battle to fight. Jake clipped the leash onto Rex's harness, giving him a small nod. "You ready, partner?" Rex didn't need to answer. The world saw a hero with a medal, but to Jake, Rex was something greater, his protector, his partner, his family. And as they stepped forward side by side, the city rested a little easier, because Rex was on duty.